Hey guys, I am here at Mountain Crest Gardens in one of their greenhouses where they grow sempervivums. And I want to plant and show you how to plant a cold hardy succulent garden in this pot. So we've got some yellows and blues within the pot. And then there's also a wide variety of colors of hardy succulents. So we have some sempervivum hephelii, some normal hens and chicks sempervivums, and then we also have a variety of sedums. So you can see there's a lot of texture, a lot of colors, and we're just gonna fill up this pot and make it look awesome. I'm gonna get you in closer so you can see exactly what's going on and then walk you through the process of what I'm doing. It's gonna be a lot of fun and I'm excited to see how it turns out. As you can see, I already have some soil in the pot. Everything at Mountain Crest is planted in this coconut coir, which is a lot better than peat moss based soils. It retains a lot of water, but it also dries out pretty quickly. And as you can see, it's very lightweight and just has a lot of good airflow. So it's really good for succulents, especially if you live somewhere that gets pretty hot. So you need your succulents to stay a little bit wet and cooler a little longer. I'm gonna go ahead and mound up the soil so that I can create some height and visual interest in the arrangement. So just adding a little more soil on the top. You can see the soil's darker, so it's a little bit wet, but it's not soaking wet. So it'll be just fine to plant with. But you do generally wanna plant with dry soil. Your succulents will be a lot happier. Okay, I wanna start in the middle and kind of work my way around. And I wanna put something at the top that's gonna give us a lot of height. So I'm gonna go with this sedum reflexum. And I may or may not remember all of these names and get them right as we go along. But I will have links for all of them in the description below. So I'm just gonna start sticking that kind of in there, and then I'm just gonna work my way around, adding in a few more things for some color. And one of the most important things when you're planting succulents is to break up the roots. So when you're pulling out a new succulent to work with, instead of just putting in this solid mass of roots, you wanna soften it up and make sure those roots are kind of broken up. You can remove the roots if you want. That's not a problem at all, but you do want to make sure that they're not just a solid mass. You want them to be pretty mobile and soft and spread out. That way they can spread around within the arrangement and get really well rooted in here. So I'm just going to keep going along. We'll give you some tips as we go. I want to contrast colors, textures, sizes, but also keep some coordinating plants within it. And it do tend to work in odd numbers. You don't have to, but that's kind of what I find works. So the sedum reflexum comes in a couple colors. So this one at the top is blue spruce. I believe this yellow one is Angelina. I'm gonna put it at the bottom as well, so it will grow up, but it also can fall and be kind of a trailing succulent as well. Let's see. We have these arachnoideum varieties. So they have the cobwebbing on them, and I think that'll look really nice here in the front. So the soil on these, some of them is a little bit wet. I prefer to work with it dry, but just make sure you let it dry out before you water again. So we're not gonna water this today right after we plant it. We're gonna give it some time and go from there. So I'm gonna take this little pixie, is what this one's called, and I'm gonna put it over here, kind of on the side, to kind of mimic the white from the other kind of arachnoideum variety we had. And you'll notice, like with a lot of these, there's enough soil on there and I can break them up enough that I don't really need as much mounding at the top, though I do want to keep that shape. And we'll clean this up too as we go some, but then also at the end. So I want to put a kind of trailing sedum here to kind of fill in, because you want things to go over the edge of the pot. You don't want everything just contained inside. So we had this sedum that was hanging over the edge over here. And I'm gonna do the same thing with this sedum Little Missy right here. Sedum Little Missy is one that actually needs a pretty substantial amount of water to keep it happy. I tend to neglect my succulents, so this one's not usually a good fit for me. I have to water it more often than I would like. But once it's well rooted, it can withstand a pretty good period of drought. So just kind of keep that in mind. Let's see, so I feel like we kind of need maybe some reds going through here. So let's pull in, do another bigger semp. And you'll notice some of these I'm keeping more of the roots than others. Again, it doesn't really matter. The roots are gonna grow back pretty quickly, especially in the coir. They tend to revive really fast. Maybe we're just gonna stick some more rosettes in there. So this one is a Hephelii. You can see that it has two heads, but unlike the other sempervivums, which put off chicks on a stolon, so like this, you can see the chicks are coming off on that little strand. With Hephelii, they actually are, they're growing together so that you actually have to break them apart from the stem in order to propagate them. These don't necessarily need to be separated, but just kind of wanted to show you that that's how they grow. I'm gonna just twist them so they kind of fit this space a little bit better. You can plant them as close together as you want, or you can leave some room in between. The more space you give in between the plants, the more room they'll have to grow and the bigger that they will get. So I am just putting in some Rosularia here. Rosularia is another type of cold hardy succulent. It's shaped more like a sedum, it's shaped more like a sempervivum, but it's actually related to sedums, but it forms a really nice ground cover. If you have it in the ground, it'll spread and it just stays really low and compact when it gets full sun. So I'm gonna put it there. But so the Hephelii and the sempervivums, they can actually get pretty large. This one will stay fairly small, but we're gonna put some other bigger varieties in here. And I'm kind of liking this look of having the smaller green succulents along the edges. So I'm gonna put a little bit more of like a green arachnoideum version there. So this one that just has like that white cilia on top. And we'll put a few of those in here. You can tell it can get really messy, but that's okay. We'll just use a brush when we're done to kind of wipe it all off and help it look cleaned up. And you can see I'm not doing these like in a giant circle or clump. I'm trying to kind of create a flow with them. So there's like more of a river of plants. Okay, we just have a tiny bit left right here. I'm gonna do a little bit more of this sedum Little Missy at the bottom. Kind of thinking I wanna do another like reddish color here and then maybe a green. Oh, let's do this. So we have the Lemon Sky, which I think coordinates really nicely with the sedum Angelina there. So I'm gonna break off most of this because I have plenty of soil inside. Notice I didn't put it right next to it. I'm putting it through here so it kind of coordinates throughout the arrangement. And then let's do kind of, those are similar, but we'll do those next to each other. Okay, so there you can see we've got a good variety of colors. We've got, you know, some reds, some purples, some bright greens. Now that we have everything in the arrangement and all cleaned up, I mean, there's still a little bit of dirt on things, but I want to cover up the soil that's in between the plants with a top dressing to really make the arrangement just look complete and finished. And it also just adds that sort of professional look to an arrangement. So what I have chosen is this kind of glassy, it's kind of a really light blue glass. And I am just gonna pour it in between all the little nooks and crannies between the succulents. A top dressing is something that you can order from Mountain Crest Gardens. You can, Bonsai Jack sells a lot of top dressings. And you can also just find some at local craft stores. You may just have things around the house. So there's nothing necessarily like right or wrong about the top dressing you choose. You just want to make sure that it enhances the arrangement but doesn't distract from the succulents. So I tend to work mostly with neutral colors and generally more of a natural, more rock type look. But this glass is really pretty. You could also use like fish tank, gravel, things like that. So just whatever works with the look you are going for with your arrangement. So you can see we've got some in here. I'm just trying to fill in any gaps. It just looks better if you can't see the soil. And that's really the goal of the top dressing, is to cover up the soil, help the arrangement look finished and just a little more professional. You're not probably going to be able to cover every single little inch of soil, but enough that most of it is covered is good. Let's see, I've got one more hole right here I want to kind of fill in. And then if you want, you can go back and like pick off the little pieces that are on top of your succulents, or you can just leave them. A lot of times they will come off just as you're watering. Okay, there we go. There is our finished arrangement. So you can see we just have a nice blend of colors. The top dressing just helps it really all come together and look awesome.